evening, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Euro Knockout DFS Strategy Show. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I am joined, as usual, by Ryan Belongia. Ryan, we've done a lot of these. I think this is the last classic slate that we are just about to cover. And I'm a little exhausted by the nonsense that's been going on in some of these things. We'll talk about what happens, but just kind of like, let's take DFS aside. Kind of some crazy managerial decisions. We saw Bruno subbed off early today, which I thought was crazy. Mbappe subbed off before Pens. Maybe he was hurt after taking that knock. It just feels like I'm not able to predict anything that's going on. Like Sane only played 45 minutes. Kind of frustrating when you kind of just had to pick the best spots. And it turns out the managers were just like, yeah, we're just going to take whoever off whenever. So higher variance, but I don't know, Ryan, how'd it go for you? What did you think about the slate today?
Yeah, no, it went badly for me. Maybe the most frustrating slate of the tournament so far for me. I made some mistakes, but not too upset with the way I played. There was no goals on the slate today from anyone that started a match. France advances to the semis without scoring from open play and without conceding from open play. They've conceded one goal. It was that BS Lewandowski penalty that cost us a bunch of money. Haven't scored a goal yet. But yeah, no, it was all sub goals today, right? Somebody won the main with Danny Olmo. They won by 25. I mean, really, if you just play all these slates, like there's going to be no goals, you'd be absolutely smashing. And I haven't really done that. A lot of people seem to be doing that in high stakes. They just put their cash lineup into the high stakes and it prints just like run so pure. But yeah, I don't know. There was some to answer your question about the subs. Yeah, Bruno and Cancelo. I mean, just to play devil's advocate, those two are their worst defenders out there. Also the slowest. I mean, part of the reason that, Man United struggled so much was because Bruno does no defending and he's kind of slow and doesn't run back. But I could see, it definitely ruined their attack, but I guess I know what he was thinking maybe. I mean, I guess that him and Cancelo were liabilities and France were getting some chances on the break, but still it made Portugal pretty they struggled offensively, obviously, without Bruno. And
Ryan, I don't disagree. Cancelo getting the hook early, that's always something that can happen. I felt like Bruno's always going to play 90. You're talking about slow and the liability. Cristiano Ronaldo played 1 under 20 minutes and took the first penalty. I mean, I don't know. It's just tricky. I mean,
that Ronaldo thing is just a little unfortunate for Roberto Martinez or whoever the Portugal manager is going to be. I wonder if that was a conversation before even being hired. Ronaldo's going to play. He doesn't get subbed. The move was maybe not even starting Ronaldo. But yeah, clearly not playing around him. But that was just always what Portugal were going to do, it seems. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, they did it. Primary objective gotten. They insisted on trying to get Ronaldo the goal. They didn't get it. And I guess they lost, which is, secondary to how they played. Ryan, in cash, I played Griezmann, Yamal, Bruno, Kroos, Koundé, David Raum, Mike Maignan, João Cancelo. I think maybe the spicier decision was to play Bruno over Nico Williams. Fortunate there. Bruno ended up on set pieces. I didn't predict him to have that, but Bruno hit a nice floor there, as he's always able to do, and Nico kind of busted. I think that's more luck. It could have easily gone the other way. Griezmann gets the early hook, but I'd play him again. I'm not so sure what I do about these German guys, Ryan. Kroos was only 60%. I saw some good players not play him. Could have played Nico Williams over Kroos, and that's maybe something I should have considered more. And when I put David Raum in, he didn't look as good as Middlestat, Ryan, and he got a yellow card, which hurt, and that got him subbed off early. But, man, even if the machine thought Germany was okay against Spain, playing David Raum was kind of just forcing it when I could have played Theo Hernandez, who is kind of steady Eddie back there and did really well. So I'm a bit frustrated myself. Some mid decisions, some things right, some things wrong. I feel like a mid result is probably appropriate.
Yeah, the ROM one too. I played him in cash, and I didn't really even want to or like him. Like, I didn't play him in tournaments, and I guess I was kind of lazy, but I couldn't. Nico was my mistake too. Nico is why I lost all the money. I prioritized Nico. He was like a cornerstone of cash and my high stakes and everything else. So I was never going to do that well today. But yeah, I just like, if I didn't play Rom, I didn't know who to upgrade. I had both the Spain forwards, Cruz and Griezmann, and I don't know. You're right though about Cruz. He wasn't as high owned as I thought he would be. I did see a lot of top players fade him. I think that made some sense. I mean, I think that made some sense. I was never going to play Bruno today, so maybe I would have lost anyways. I mean, I think he ran pretty pure, but I wasn't necessarily expecting him to show up on sets. I mean, he didn't run pure getting subbed early, but I mean, before that,
yeah, kind of a mixed bag.
I mean,
bad set pieces.
He had a ton of awful set pieces. I mean, everyone was awful, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't complain too much. He's still a fine play. Obviously, I just didn't want to play a guy that I thought needed like a big floor when I'm planning on playing the France keeper. And yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work out.
It is what it is. I don't know. Sometimes these things happen. On the other hand, to play devil's advocate on Cruz, 5 fouls committed and 1 yellow card. Maybe that was always going to happen against Spain, but if he chills out just a little bit, maybe he ends up on 10 points and it's a little bit better. You're kind of thinking Cruz is like the safe 9 points playing at home, basically. What are we going to do? 2 of these teams are out. Good riddance, Portugal. I hate you. Roberto Martinez, awful manager, in my opinion. One of the more unwatchable teams, especially given their talent profile. At least France, when they're boring, they make defending look elegant, and it looks like they sort of they sniff things out. It's more like watching Atletico Madrid. Portugal, I just felt disorganized. My apologies if you're a Portugal fan. I mean, I just haven't enjoyed watching this Portugal team whatsoever.
No.
And you're welcome to disagree with me.
And I played a bunch of Camavinga today too, Jack.
Oh, no.
I thought he was an awesome punt. I thought he was such a good punt. I played him in the 5-5-5 even.
That's a good punt, man. I thought Camavinga and Tchouaméni were both good plays.
Yeah, and unfortunate that he couldn't score that. Probably had the best chance of the game for France. But, yeah I don't know. He played well. I would start him next match if I was Deschamps.
The Frenchman Ryan Belongia himself dropping some knowledge. Yeah, I like the 3-man midfield for France. I thought it's good for Griezmann. I thought he was influential, and of course he gets subbed early because he's old or something.
Yeah,
I'm done complaining.
Yeah. I mean, it was good to get Dembele on. I mean, Dembele
has to play more, and Griezmann didn't play in one of these group matches because the manager reportedly thought he was slow. So maybe we shouldn't be that surprised that he has early sub risk. He's not the same
because
player.
once a manager starts on that path, he's gonna want to try to prove himself right.
Yeah.
So he'll sub Griezmann, and for sure.
Whatever. We will see what happens in the semi-final showdowns on, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday. But first things first, Ryan, we have the last 2-gamer to break down. I regret to inform you all, it's an England slate. England are the noon Eastern game. They are slight favorites, 44% win probability against the Switzerland team, who I found to be pretty well organized and playing decent football. It's England. It's a really low implied goal total on both sides, 2.24. It's just like Burnley are playing Nottingham Forest with everything on the line. So we're going to have to figure out if anyone's worth playing from that game, because I'll just spoil it, Ryan. The machine hates England and doesn't see much floor in that game whatsoever. What the game environment that it does appreciate is the Netherlands against Turkiye. Netherlands in a good spot against Turkiye, 60% win probability, a very healthy implied goal total, good clean sheet odds. We're going to want to play Dutch players. And Ryan, I'm kind of happy to play Turkish players. They're large underdogs, but man, this Turkey team is a team that goes for it. And I think there's some tempting players, especially you're going to have to pick between Turkiye players and England players. heuristically, you say take England players. My projections, Ryan, say it's kind of clear that like by a couple points that you should play Turkish players. I don't know. What do you think when you open this up? Is that too spicy a take, or do you think the field is going to agree with me?
No, I don't think it's too spicy to take. I think it's the correct take. Whether the field agrees, I'm not so sure. Some will, obviously. People have seen England and been frustrated by England for a while now. Who are the guys on Turkey? For England, we have Foden at 8K and Bellingham at 7.9, and then the Turkey guys are a little bit cheaper than that. Goulet is 76 and Çalhanoğlu is 73. I mean, when I made my lineup, I just wanted to play the England set piece taker and then stack the Netherlands Turkey game. Couple forwards, at least one of the Turkey set piece takers. Kind of plan for another 0-0 England game. I do think someone like Foden's obviously in play, though, especially if he's going to take some sets. But the England lineup first is going to be important. Apparently, they're going to change formations. Everybody seems to think that.
Why not? And it's only the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I see our lineup is updated. It's different than the cheat sheet I have up, which is nice. I agree with the lineup that we have. That's the reported England lineup. So I think it would be near impossible to fade Trippier as a right wing back taking set pieces. At least in cash games. I mean, he's just got to be like the first guy in still, in my opinion. Defender's kind of weak on this slate, and he's not very expensive for like a wing back, especially when you move him over to the right, where he's going to have some open play stuff for once too. Apparently Luke Shaw's fit to start, which was a funny comment from Southgate.
Stop it. I can't handle this.
But it seems like Saka's going to start on the left wing. We've seen 120-minute games, a lot. And, we know Shaw takes sets. I just want to say I saw him down there at 3K, Not the craziest thing if you were to come on at 60 minutes and you get 60 minutes. No one's ever played a sub defender before. We're breaking new ground on this slate, maybe.
A sub cooked Luke Shaw. He was only 3K. Process.
So anyways, I think I want to play Trippier. Probably some sub risk with him starting there, but again, I just don't think it matters. For cash, at least. And then, on the Swiss side, we'll have to see about their lineup too, because it's kind of important. Vidmer is back from suspension. Some people seem to think he's going to be back on the wing, and that would mean like either Ndoye is out or Ndoye has to take Reader's spot, which is something because Reader's only 3,400, and he I would expect him to take the majority of sets and even direct free kicks like we saw last game. He was good last game, sort of playing the Shaqiri role. Not like too dissimilar of a player either. And he's only 3,400. I think he would be a fine punt. We've seen England aren't a nightmare matchup. They're not just going to dominate teams and leave no floor points. But just in general, Jack, I couldn't agree more that the first game environment kind of sucks. And the other one, if we're going to get one that's back and forth with some goals, maybe it would be that Netherlands-Turkey game.
Yeah, and maybe from a GPP point of view, you could play Briel and Bolo in a GPP lineup, and then that's going to unlock England. We saw when England went down in their match in the round of 16, then the team finally woke up and they started trying. They started playing a little bit more attacking. So I think that's a great way to approach it if you want to play these England pieces. Ryan, Ozzy's saying a couple things that I wanted to ask about. First, he says Saka on the left, interesting. I know Saka plays on the right wing for Arsenal, but but the announcer said he used to play left back. I mean, do you think he's competent in this position? It's interesting if he's right-footed and he might get some shots. It seems a little suspect to me, but I guess the manager is comfortable with it.
Yeah, it is interesting. And he's left-footed, obviously. I know.
Oh, he's left. Okay.
I know you know that, Jack.
You know everyone's foot. I don't. I just look at the numbers.
Obviously, you know Saka's, but yeah, we've seen him at right back or at right wing for Arsenal like every game and every game for England. But he came up with Arsenal as like a makeshift left back because they had no one. They were trying to use Granit Xhaka there, and like really had no one. I forget, but Saka can play anywhere. Honestly, he's like he would be great on the left. I think it would probably mean more crosses since he's left-footed, so you probably won't really see him cutting in on the right to shoot. So yeah, it is interesting, but no, I think he's fine there. I think you can play Saka anywhere.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like he's going to get subbed at 70 minutes either way, especially for a healthy young buck Luke Shaw. But we can talk more about these guys if we move forward. But we can talk about the Netherlands-Turkiye matchup. I think we're going to expect a very similar lineup to what we've seen from the Dutch. The spot up for grabs on this side, it looks like, is right wing. I think whoever started there is suspended. I don't remember, but it looks like it's between Daniel Malin and Jeremy Frimpong on who starts on the right there. I would expect a 65-minute shift for either of them. Of course, Jeremy Frimpong's presence greatly changes the slate because he's an expensive defender who has some upside, whereas Malin is, I think, midfield and forward eligible. On the other side, Turkiye Demiral was suspended for making some #bad political statements after a celebration. Apparently judged to be much worse than whatever Jude Bellingham did with the crotch grab. But it's mostly a similar team, the same fullbacks they've been playing. We're expecting Hakan Çalhanoğlu to play, at the tip of a midfield three-sphere or attacking midfield. And then Güler, Yildiz. Bears Yilmaz has played every minute of this tournament, Ryan, which has kind of surprised me. We talked a little bit about this matchup. I think it profiles as, Turkiye are not going to sit back. The Dutch are a team that aren't convincing a lot of the times. And, man, the Turkiye guys have some talent. I mean, Hakan can pick out a pass. I don't really like Hakan as much as usual, but if he's in this role with this midfield, I don't mind as much. And Arda Güler has been terrific, taking at least half, maybe most of the set pieces. On the other hand, the Dutch guys, Memphis and Cody Gakpo, look like great plays with that big, fat implied goal total. We're going to be playing a lot of these guys from this match, Ryan. What do you think?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like a lot of them, kind of like all the Turkey guys. I think Hakan's priced where I can definitely play him if he's starting in that position. He's probably going to play 90 minutes, split sets, rip shots. He's not that expensive. I don't think the Netherlands matchup is that prohibitive. And Yilmaz, interesting that he's played every minute of the tournament. I mean, I know we haven't seen much out of him yet. I think center forward is not like his natural position, but still 5,500. I think he is. That's a good price. Talented player. Definitely have some interest there. It's got to be Malin who starts, I would think, after that performance in the last match, coming on and scoring and assisting, I think. No, 2 goals. Sorry, 2 goals in that last match. So, yeah, I think we have the lineups correct. I mean, yeah, I guess you could see Frimpong there. Yeah, so I think I have interest in the Netherlands front four. I think even a guy like Dumfries at 4.9 is pretty interesting. I think we saw last game and we'll continue to see that when Netherlands are in possession, Dumfries will be like a right winger. They already have.
Kadioglu is not a natural defender either. Who's going to be defending that flank?
No, he's been pretty good and he's quick, but yeah, I think he'll have a tough time with Dumfries. They already kind of lean with Aki on the left. It is almost like Dumfries' wing back anyways. So I think Dumfries is an interesting play at 4.9. And then, Kadioglu on the other side is pretty cheap. I think 4,200. did well again, 10 floor points again last game. And actually, I remember because I faded him, he was in for like what would have been a tap-in goal right at the end of the game, and somebody missed him. I mean, Turkey were on the counter, and he just blazed down the sideline. It was like in the 90th minute or even after that. But he could have been a massive game from Kadioglu. But yeah, maybe his attacking numbers, they might suffer, defending Dumfries. But still, 4,200 for a left back that attacks seems okay. Yeah, that game just in general stands out more than the England-Switzerland one. Obviously, I mean, you see the 2.2 total or something on England-Switzerland, just brutal.
That's awful. You rarely see matches that low. Even,
it's just like I said, brutal.
I joked at Burnley, Nottingham Forest, but even then, I think that would at least have like a 2.5 implied goal total. Good stuff. Breaking all these down. We'll I don't know. We'll see. You can join the Discord, rotowire.com/chat. We'll talk about any lineup updates. Someone just dropped that like Randall Colomwani was going to start just like randomly 5 minutes before the slate, so you could have prepped that if you wanted to. Almost worked out. Sadly not, but again, the process. Ryan, forward position, I think you'll be spending up twice in cash games, and I think the two players who stand out in the best matchup are Memphis Depay, who's going to be taking set pieces with no Veerman starting, and then Cody Gakpo, just a really good floor, and he's been looking terrific. He had a great last month with Liverpool, and he plays like a different player when he's got the orange shirt on for the Netherlands. But you have to compete with Harry Kane, who has 9,100 and has, plus 150. Not even that good of goal-scoring odds. I think I prefer the Dutch guys, Ryan, but is there a case for Harry Kane above either of those two? Talking about cash games.
There's not a case for me. If you want to hope for the penalty, be my guest. But yeah, no, not for cash games at least. Depay is just the first guy in, obviously. If no Veerman's in there, we've seen that Depay is going to take almost everything. We saw Xavi Simons take one set last game, one corner last game. He could take, one or two here, but I would expect Depay to take most. And then, yeah, I'd like to afford Gakpo. Part of the thing on Gakpo and Kane is just like Gakpo's in better form. He's got a higher floor from open play. I think the matchup and just game environment is better. And just, yeah, like you said, Gakpo's as in form as any attacker in the world, basically, the way he ended the season for Liverpool. He's been Netherlands' best player. He's been one of the best players in the tournament, actually. It's been nice to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll be clicking both. I don't want to click Kane and cash. And then I wonder, well, what am I going to spend my money on? And it's all cheap options who are like reasonably interesting in tournament formats, like Keenan Yedills. Like, he's a player who's been really frustrating, but definitely has some talent. Maybe he gets on the score sheet finally in tournaments. Barris Yilmaz, I don't know, he'll play 90 minutes, but 5,500, I guess. I'm not looking to do that. Briel and Bolo, if you want to play England players, it's just tough to click these names in cash when salary's just not, I don't know, you're able to pay for two expensive forwards, and I just think you should. Who do you like in tournaments, though, Ryan? Is there an angle, maybe you can share one angle that you're thinking about? Because I think you can get some interesting teams with a cheap guy.
Yeah. So I was looking at, what do you do if you don't play Gakpo, right? Or Gakpo or Kane? Because, 9,500 for no sets, and Gakpo it's not like a lock necessarily. But yeah, it was tough to find what to do with the money. Pricing's kind of soft after that, and probably only paying up at one defender spot, but still, like, paying down at second forward. I don't know about for cash games, but for tournaments, yeah, I think I will definitely do it. Starting with the Turkey guys, they price them the same, so it's going to be very hard for me not to just play both these guys and make similar lineups, 5,500 and 5,400. I mean, I prefer Yilmaz just because, he's played every minute of the tournament. I guess he's the de facto center forward, but still, like, I think they have similar goal scoring odds. Yildiz scored on that first slate against Georgia, but was offsides by like a centimeter. I had him like jammed on that slate as the lowest owned forward. He's really talented. Plays for Juventus. I think he's only like 19 or 20 still, but yeah, he's had some moments. I think they're both probably the most likely Turkey guys to score from open play. I don't want to rule out Goulet, obviously throw him in there too. But yeah, I think pretty good prices on those Turkey guys. That's where I'd look first. And then after that, obviously you have Switzerland. Not as excited about that, but this Ndoye has shown a floor and could be one of those slates. We've seen a slate recently where there's just not a lot of goals, and if you just played them for, try to get the most floor points, maybe, and like you mentioned, I think Mbolo is a decent shout too, but I'd rather have the Turkey guys. Maybe Mbolo is leverage on those Turkey guys though.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about what I want to do in single entry. Sometimes I fade my cash team a little bit, and I kind of like setting up a rule where I play Briel and Bolo. Talk about a player I think is slightly unlucky to not have a goal. I think he's a talented enough player to score a goal if he gets the opportunity, and then that opens up Trippier and Foden. So I think, having those three and then dressing the best plays around them, that's a construction that I'm somewhat interested in and that I'll tinker with overall, because I just don't think any England player is going to get a lot of ownership, but I do think England need the game script. So that's an easy one to script. Well, quote unquote easy. I have to be right in a lot of ways, but it feels like it makes sense in my mind. So I'll give a shout out to Briel and
Yeah, no, I like that. Let's say, England are without Guehi, who's been their best center back. It's a new formation. And yeah, Mbolo's the type who can just score on anybody. I remember heading into the last Euros, the first podcast I ever did for RotoWire was a Switzerland slate, and me and I can't even remember
Laird.
me and Laird talked about Mbolo. He was leading Serie A in like the difference between XG and actual goals scored, meaning like he just had unreal XG, but just could never finish. And people had just decided like, oh, he sucks. And really, he's just not clinical, but he's like an athletic freak who can get in good spots to score. It just takes one chance with him, really. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good tournament play at no ownership.
I sure hope so, Ryan. Let's get into the midfield position. Ozzy's asking perhaps one of the questions of the slate. We're looking at, if England played this 3-4-3, maybe Foden gets to be a little more central, have a little bit more freedom, not running into all of his other teammates. Could this formation unleash Foden, in which case maybe just looking at previous performances, you would under-project Foden slightly and maybe not seeing some upside? I definitely think there's some merit to that point of view, so that's a sharp observation from Ozzy. But Phil Foden's going to be competing, at least in cash games, with Hakan Çalhanoğlu and Arda Güler at 7,600. We already think that it's an okay environment. Turkey will have their chances. It's not going to be some 30% possession match from them. I don't know, Ryan. Let's just say this is the formation, and it looks good for Foden. How do you rank these three players? Because you can play two of the three of them, and it is the question of the slate. I'll start. I'm thinking about fading Foden. I like Hakan and Arda more, and I'm prepared to only have one England player in cash. That's what the machine suggests, my projections, and it kind of makes sense to me, but the floor is yours, Ryan.
Yeah, so it's I don't know if there's an answer here. The first lineup I made had both Turkey guys. I thought about it more. I think you're right. Like I would be fine just if it was both Turkey guys. Now, just for me specifically, I like Foden. I played Foden on the last slate when nobody did. Almost smashed again, scored offside by like a centimeter, from Trippier, just like the story of the tournament. So I guess I wouldn't fault anybody for ranking Foden number one there, just because, England still have a higher total than Turkey, pretty significant. And I mean, how many times did we see Foden this year? I know it's not Man City, but he's just so good, and he can break a slate on his own. And
he can light it
I
up.
don't want to say he's due. That's not a thing. But like, he's faced some criticism, and it's just $8K for Foden still looks pretty good, just based on him being like he's like $120 million player. I know he's been getting some slander recently, but for me, Foden's like still a top 10 player in the world, top 10 attacking player in the world for sure. So for 8K, I still like him here. But again, yeah, when I made lineups right away, I was fine playing both Turkey guys. We've just seen England disappoint over and over again. There's a little bit of sub risk for Foden. I don't think we see him get subbed early, but still England have a lot of attackers there. So, probably get subbed around like 80 or so. And you figure Çalhanoğlu is going to play the whole game.
Goulet, 70-minute sub risk, I would say 70.
Yeah, definitely. I would say similar. Goulet and Foden probably similar projections for minutes. Maybe Goulet slightly less. So yeah, Jack, it's a very tough question, and it's like the question of the slate because those Turkey guys look great. They're a little bit cheaper, but obviously, England are the better team with the higher total and, all that stuff. And, it's Phil Foden. It's not, so it's a tough call.
I want to say this with like some amount of humility. Like I've been doing this show for like over a year now, and I felt a little bit embarrassed ready to come to war with you, Ryan, and say that I would be willing to play both Çalhanoğlu and Arda Güler when they have a 15% implied win probability and 0.96 implied total. It's somewhat ludicrous. Like,
right.
It's defensible, but like this is kind of like insane person behavior.
It is, right? That's why you want to make sure you're not making a mistake, because that's like I had that too, and I was like, so we're really gonna, they're both in the mid 7Ks. We're gonna play these guys with 15% win total, less than a goal implied total, and like, oh yeah, we're just gonna jam them in there over Foden, who's just a few $100s more. It does seem a bit crazy, but yeah, if England play like they've been playing, it seems like the move. I don't know. Like, I guess I get why the machine says that. I mean, I get why. Yeah.
I mean, I play using it, so I'll probably end up playing both the Turkey guys, just hashtag for the brands. But like the way that it's working out, I'm not sure that any model could be higher on Turkey in a reasonable way. Like I think it's within control, but like I see that, within the range of possible errors, there's only downside on Turkey and there's only upside in England. That makes them about equal if you kind of just, you see that margin of error right there. So I just want to say, even if you look at my projections or you ask about it, I won't recommend Foden, but it's fragile. It's not bulletproof, and maybe the new formation is a plus for him. A close call with a lot of fragility.
Yeah, and I think for tournaments, for both Turkey guys to be optimal, you're going to need Turkey to score at least one goal, right? I mean,
yeah.
But that's a spot where it feels like it can be two phases, because Goulet is going to get subbed off, but he can get there first. Çalhanoğlu can get there at the end. I'm thinking of like a 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. That's so. I think there's paths to play both Turkey guys, and you're really just hoping for Foden to fail, really. I know Bellingham's the same price, so that he's there for tournaments too. But
well, I'm sure Bellingham will just get a late bicycle kick goal. Ryan, we're talking about all these guys in the 8K range, but maybe our contrarian play in GPPs is Xavi Simons. He looked pretty good, and he had almost a 90-minute run out, and it's going to be we're certain it's going to be a good game environment for the Dutch. Kind of tough to outscore all these names that we just mentioned, but I think you'll be compensated by low enough ownership, maybe a pivot off of a Gakpo type, or you can just play all three Dutch guys and hope that it's a dunk on Turkiye. Definitely a reasonable way to play it. Ryan, you can comment on thoughts on Simons. I'm also just curious what you think about the bottom of the position, because we're probably going to have to punt once.
Yeah, I like Simons in lineups where I didn't play Gakpo. I think you can spend up for 3 mids. you said you can play them all too. You can play all the Dutch guys if you want, but I was experimenting with Simons in the flex, and then with either two Turkey guys or a Turkiye guy and Foden. But I thought a couple punts were in play too. We mentioned Ferdy at 4,200, and Ozzy was making a point about England's formation helping Foden. I think England's formation helps Declan now that they have 3 center backs in there, and Kobe Mainu kind of, running the show a little bit, or at least running around, breaking stuff up and just kind of being that guy. I think Declan might get into some good spots. And we saw it last game. He's sort of got 120 minutes in him, like Kimmich had today. I mean, we didn't really touch on Kimmich. I mean, they're different plays, but minutes can matter on these slates. We keep seeing it, and I think Declan's pretty cheap for a guy that shoots, plays all the time, gets some shots assisted, some defensive stats, and then even Kobe, you got to say Kobe Maino too. It's almost the same for him, and nobody ever wants to click Maino, and we struggle if you should even bring him up. But every time you want to write him off, he scores a goal the next game. I mean,
2 crosses per 90 so far, and he shoots sometimes. He's kind of doing a lot for England.
He's shown it, and he will end up in decent positions, and he's proved capable of scoring really good goals. I mean, he's going to be a really, really good player, Kobe Mainu. They're both cheap enough to play, I think. Good luck into assist. Yeah, I don't know. That was my thought. I thought you could punt one of those guys. I tried to make lineups punting, and I had trouble even spending all the salary. So it's an interesting slate, whether to punt or not.
I completely agree. I think in cash games, if Fabian Rieder starts, especially in this formation, he's going to be a pretty decent option. But I'm glad that you mentioned the other names, because if Fabian Rieder doesn't start, you've convinced me that the construction still works. It's not too bad to play Kobe Mainu instead, or do the #Arsenal fan play with Declan Rice. Ryan, your case makes a lot of sense. I normally make fun of you for being a homer, but I'm quite persuaded. by it.
I'd have mentioned Rieder. I mentioned Rieder at the start of the pod. I didn't mention him because I had it in my head that he's not going to start. But yeah, if Rieder starts, yeah, he's the punt for cash games, and I would assume he'd be relatively popular. Makes sense. I mean, unfortunately, you're only going to get 65 minutes out of him, but at 3,400, he has goals and assists too.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you just take the set pieces on lower scoring matches. One GPP name I'm going to mention. I'm going to go back to Tijani Reinders. 4,700. He's a player, again, I've seen him get in good positions. He took some shots from distance. Maybe it's more of a showdown take. I haven't looked at the pricing for this showdown, but Reinders is only a little bit more expensive than these punts and might supply. I don't think he's going to get too overly owned either. So
no, that's a good call. Name. Yeah, definitely. Kind of in a similar. It's kind of similar to Dumfries in a way, just because they're the same price, and you figure they could be involved in an assist or even a goal. We've seen Reinders shooting a bunch.
Oh yeah, I forgot because he's D-eligible in the sheet. But yeah, Denzel Dumfries within the same exact range. Just one of the nicer mid-range ways to play a very favorite Dutch team who we should be playing pieces for because they have almost a 2 implied goal total.
And I guess the last thing I might as well mention. Abishare has been taking right-footed sets over Vargas, I want to say. At least he did last game and the game before, 1 or 2. It's not really a guy I'm considering, but, I mean, he sort of did it again last game. He's another guy that's going to get 90 minutes and, maybe a set or 2. I don't know. It's worth mentioning, but it's not really something I'm looking at.
Yeah, maybe he'll get the goal and assist again, like the first one. All I hear from that is that Ruben Vargas is going to get another goal, assist, and then 5.4 game, and just drop an absolute bomb on the slate. Probably a tough guy to get to at 6,500 midfield only. So if you're feeling a bit crazy, I recommended Briel and Bolo. So go nuts out there. Looking at defender, I think Kieran Trippier is one of the best plays if he's right wing back. Most of his sample that we have from international play, he's been deputizing as left back. And his floor is just going to be better as a right back. You just have to mentally boost it. You just have to say, I know better, and he's going to get a better projection. Ryan, without doing anything like that, he still looks like a good play. So I agree, one of the first names in. Is there any chance that Trent Alexander-Arnold starts? I feel like he's excommunicado. Maybe he comes in as a sub around the 70th minute. That's something that's been clamored for. But Southgate doesn't really care about what others think.
Yeah, people apparently it's been leaked that Trippier's going to start. But before that, people seem to think Trent would be back in there, especially if they were going to switch formation. You'd think it would suit Trent perfectly being there on the right wing. So, yeah, it seems like Trippier is going to start. But I also agree that it seems like Trent would come on for Trippier. It just makes too much sense. But, Southgate, you can't really assume common sense. I mean, it made all the sense. Why did Trent not come on last game, especially? Kyle Walker was doing nothing. They didn't need Kyle Walker. It was the most obvious thing ever that they needed Trent out there, so badly, and it was so obvious, and still didn't put him out there. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Trippier at 5,800, though, taking most of the sets. I think you just have to play that in cash.
Even if you only get 70 minutes, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to cry about it. I think.
He was smashing last game. From left back, and he played 66 minutes and scored, 11 floor points.
Yeah, his per minute utilization is enough that you just take the role. I agree with you 100%. So you're free to disagree, and then you can send @RodGreat head to head if you want to go to the dojo. Other names, I mean, Mert Muldur is going to be a GPP option at 4,700, a player that I've liked watching, occupying forward spaces. Ryan, Nathan Ake has been getting subbed off early for Mickey Van de Ven, I believe. I don't know if that's something that will continue. You seem to expect that. But again, Ake is a little bit expensive as a glorified center back. I know he can break slates, but 4,300, you're kind of paying up even for a good matchup. You're kind of going to scroll down after Trippier. There's guys like Sharon Rodriguez who sometimes rip shots from distance, and if England allows Switzerland space, they're not awful plays. But come on, how about I take Virgil van Dijk at 3,500, potential chance at penalties, or you could just play a cheap England center back. I can't be talking about Rick Rod when Virgil van Dijk is 3,500, Ryan.
Nope, I agree with you. Almost got the Van Dijk goal again last game, hit the post, just hasn't happened. But like you said, still not sure about Netherlands penalty kicks. So yeah, I think he's fine. Definitely over the Swiss guys. You're right. I'm probably not going to take a chance on Ake. I get it. We see him. He can score. He can also assist and create chances. We've seen it happen this tournament even. But yeah, I worry about the sub risk there. And I think a lot of Ake's, you're hoping he gets shots from set pieces, and he does seem to get them a lot. But the sub worries me. Yeah, I didn't find myself getting there. Mulder, I don't think anyone is really going to play him, but he's interesting on a slate where you feel like it's going to be Trippier and then punts. So you're going to see a lot of Trippier and center backs. I mean, there aren't any defenders on this slate. Netherlands, Dumfries is midfield eligible, and Turkey, you have Ferdy midfield eligible. So really it's Mulder against the center backs. If you can get 10 out of him somehow, that might be huge. But, I feel like that's kind of a rare outcome in this spot against the Dutch. So I don't know that I'll be getting there either, but I don't mind it for leverage. Cheap center backs on England too. Stones is 32, Cons is going to start. He's 31, and the real sickles out there might click Luke Shaw for 3K and hope he gets 60 minutes. He's 3K.
Couldn't be you, Ryan.
I mean, if I've been on a winning streak, then I'm clicking Luke Shaw. But backs against the wall, it's tough to click a defensive sub.
It would certainly be a legendary moment.
It's just like, yeah, in all seriousness, it's not really a play. Like, first you need him to come on, then you need him to have like a good floor game and at least get you like 7 or 8 floor to even be worth. It's just like, it's so tough, right?
Yeah, and then like I don't know, I need a random name to say, like Abdul Karim Pardaki. He's gonna just score 7 points anyway.
Scores 4 or something. Or like a Kanji scores 5 or something. Like, oh yeah, cool. You beat the other center back by a point.
Akanji could score 5, but I think that would require 250 accurate passes because he is definitely.
He did it for you last slate.
He did do it for me in the last slate, getting the clean sheet bonus. Pretty good breakdown of defender Ryan. I agree. I want to give Mert Muldur a shout out. If I'm going to be playing that Turkey side, I think maybe that's a quote unquote sneaky way to attack it. Goalkeeper Ryan, it's sort of flat. I don't really want to play for Bruggen because I think Turkiye can score, and I don't think he's that good. Mo kind of gave us the talent narrative right there. You're paying a premium for him. I mean, just play Pickford or Sommer, I think. I think either has save upside if the other team goes up 1-0. Certainly Pickford at 5,100. I'm leaning towards going there. Hopefully I have enough money for Sommer. But, I mean, if I have to play Gunak, I don't care. I'll play whatever goalkeeper I need to fit the attackers I want. And he takes on goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play someone from the England-Swiss game. In cash, I don't mind if I would have to play the Turkey keeper. But in tournaments, yeah. Or especially I mean, we've talked about it. We want to stack that second game, and there's going to be a clean sheet in the first game somewhere. Maybe get 2 clean sheets in the first game. I want to play Sommer or Pickford.
Easy game. I think for Bruggen, interesting option. It seems so likely that either Pickford or Sommer gets a clean sheet, but I think Turkey will shoot. And maybe they get a few on target, and Bart gets some like empty calorie saves from something that's not that threatening as a favorite goalkeeper. I don't mind it. And then in tournaments, you can even play one of Hakan or Arda. I wouldn't play both, but if you just play one of them, 12-point floor, depending on how the rest of the slate goes. I don't know. Maybe that's.
I will have some lineups like that. I agree. Bart has upside, and it's not that hard to afford him if you just make one. If you make one punt, you can play whoever you want on this slate. And then, I would run it back with Hakan. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we're at 47 minutes, so I can complain now. Like showdown cash games, everyone just happily just plays any opposing goalkeeper whenever, and then they all get rewarded for it. Like people do this in optimal structures where you only 2x, so like you want to play the best plays, and some people think that like playing a cheap goalkeeper or something just randomly like that, even with Turkey attackers, like either combination. And this means I'm fine with it in a 2-game classic slate. Like if you just have it in either direction, it seems like that can be enough to post a good score. You have ceiling from really outlier games, and it's just not that bad because these goalkeepers don't go negative that often. I mean, how often has a goalkeeper gone negative in this tournament? It just doesn't really, we talk about it, but it just doesn't really happen. It seems like the worst outcome for Gnak is 0 points.
It's unreal. It really is. I think my thoughts. Anytime I've ever been in an important spot in showdown in my life, I've played the underdog keeper in the flex. I mean, I absolutely swear by it. So what you said makes sense.
Makes me sick.
Yeah, I've just been doing it forever. I mean, this isn't the slate for it, but there's just so many slates where the underdog keeper is like, quote unquote, the favorite to be the highest scorer on his team. Even if he scores 5 or 6, he's almost still going to be the highest scorer sometimes. That's not what we have here, but sometimes you just get these spots where the underdogs don't have much floor, and goalkeepers, it's just so easy for them to get there. They really should get rid of goalkeepers from DK, huh?
I don't know. I think it's like defense and special teams. It's good to have that component. And I think most of my showdown wins have been goalkeeper captain. So
it adds some strategy and luck. So, I get it.
I just hate it in cash. Like it kind of, it's so annoying. You're like, what do I project a goalkeeper for? Like 7? It seems reasonable, but they never score 7. They score like -2 or they score.
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
It really is.
The answer is to not play Showdown Cash, but I'm the goofy meme. I'll effing do it again. I'm going to register right after the show. It's been 50 minutes. Thank you all so much for listening. This is our last Classic Slate. I don't know our plans for Showdown. We don't want to give away too much Showdown Cash Alpha from Ryan, but maybe we'll feel a little bit generous. Maybe I'll do a PBR show. Thank you all so much for supporting the program during the Euros. We will still be breaking things down in Discord, maybe writing things up for Showdown. So still rotowire.com/soccer trial. It's on the bottom there. And yeah, I've said it like 3 times, but thank you again. We don't get to do this without, getting 600 views and people engaging with our content and, seeing new people stroll into the Discord. So I don't know, Ryan, I find it fun. I find it therapeutic, and it's been a good time. So maybe let's get a win on this last Classic Slate.
Please, let's do it.
All right, on behalf of myself and Ryan, good luck tomorrow. Ryan's going to ship the 555, and all will be right in the world. We will see you later.
Thanks, Jack. Good luck, everybody.